How do you guys have 3 night games in a row, Scott? That's kind of odd for you guys.
Well, I think it's good. It's good for getting used to the rhythm of the season. I'm a little disappointed, though, however, that you didn't stop in and say hello to me when you were down here. But
I was at the Tiki Bar for most of the time.
Well, I don't frequent the Tiki Bar, so that's why our paths didn't cross, I guess. But,
it was good crowds down there, though. I'll tell you that you could tell that. I think you could tell from the last couple of years, people have a little bit more excitement about seeing the younger guys. There was a lot more buzz in that crowd than the last 2 years.
Yeah, I think so. I think the energy that Pete has him playing with, and the enthusiasm, and I think there's some excitement, and anticipation for better times ahead. I don't know how quickly we'll get to the complete fruition of that, but I think we're certainly headed in the right direction.
Phillies assistant general manager Scott Profrock is my guest. You just mentioned Pete. You guys extended him today after taking the interim tag off at the end of last year through the 2017 season. Last year, 37-51 after taking over for Sandberg. What was it about today? And I mean, obviously, it's probably more than just today. You woke up, you guys, and said, "Hey, let's extend Pete." But why is Pete the right guy for the next couple of years for this young team?
Well, I think that when Andy and I made him the interim or took the interim tag off after Ruben was let go, I think we felt like the way he had run the team the second half of the season was an indication of what he was capable of, given the opportunity to do it for a more extended period of time. And I think the other thing that happened was over the off season, once Matt came on board, Matt got very comfortable with him, and I think one of the things that Andy had told Pete, coming in, was how important spring training was, and how important it was to set the tone and show the players we were organized and prepared. And I think Pete had showed that and won the confidence of Matt, and I think they felt like it was time to not have him be a lame duck manager for the season, and and reward him for doing everything that he'd done during the off season to prepare and get ready, and obviously how he had conducted spring training all played into the decision, I think, to basically rip up the contract that he had and give him a new one. So,
did you guys get feedback from the players that really? I mean, I guess that's pretty key. That the end of last year, it seemed like the younger players really took to him, and there's a lot of reports that he got along well with some of the Latin players. And, that was really helpful for them. And was that their feedback helpful for this as well?
I don't think so. I think it was just more the way they played than any. I don't think we have any players who are, quote unquote, veteran leaders in the clubhouse, to get that kind of feedback from them. I think it was just the way they reacted to Pete and his leadership, that gave us, the confidence to make it a more, a longer term situation. And again, I think the demeanor that Pete showed and the rest of the coaches as well, I think are very, very conducive to helping continue the development process at the major league level, which is a very difficult thing to do. We still have a lot of young players. There's still a need for them to continue to grow and improve as major league players and to really reach their own levels. And some of the development process is going to take place at the major league level, not only for these players, but the players that are behind them in the minor leagues. And you've got to have the right kind of staff to have the ability to foster that kind of relationship and continue that kind of development.
There's about 10 days left, Scott, down there. What do you still need to learn or see in these final 2 weeks of spring?
Well, we really only have like 6 more days down here.
Right.
We head up to we leave after the game on Wednesday, and then we have the game in Reading with the Futures game, and then we play the Orioles in Philly, and then another Futures game after that before we head to Cincinnati. But we've had a lot of great competition, Mike, and there's still a lot of competition going on for the bullpen. There's still competition going on for the last couple position player spots. Some of that's because of injuries to Ashe and Altier, but still there's opportunities for guys, and we still got a large number of players in camp. Really one of the the most players I can remember being in camp this late in the spring. This late from breaking camp, and it's because of the competition that we have going on, mostly in the bullpen, and we do still have some competition for the the starting rotation as well. The last spot in the rotation is it's a great problem to have because these guys have all pitched very well. So
they have,
and that's the reason we have a winning record.
Yeah, and Velasquez is a guy who you get in that trade, and Morgan's a guy who's been around. I guess those two guys. There's been some talk about maybe a six-man rotation or who wins and who loses that thing. But the competition is certainly something that makes teams better faster. Not to say that, hey, all of a sudden we expect 85 wins and a possible playoff berth. But are you surprised at the competition and that some of the guys who have stepped up and forced competition?
Well, not really. Adam Morgan, is a remarkable story for me because, I'm trying to remember what year it was. It was maybe 2013. He was on the cusp of being called up. It started at AAA, and it was a situation where, it wasn't his day. We were going to have to start him on short rest, and instead of calling him up, we called up Jonathan Pettibone instead. And Pettibone actually pitched good, for a while until he got hurt. Probably, sometime in July or whatever, and Adam, subsequently got hurt and missed, a lot of 13 and all of 14, and then, came back, just getting started last year. And, last year he was sort of the opposite situation. He got the opportunity, because somebody else wasn't quite ready, and ran with it. And his comeback from the surgery that he had, and the way he's conducted himself and his competitiveness. He's a guy that everybody should be rooting for. He's a great kid, and he's there. Our people still think that he's got a chance to get back to where he was before he was hurt. And where he was before he was hurt was he's one of the top, if not the top, pitching prospect in the organization. So and Velasquez, obviously, he was the centerpiece of the deal that we did for Kenny Giles, and again, he got his first taste of the major leagues last year, so he's shown very well in camp too. So it's going to be a hard decision for those guys, and they both pitched very, very well this spring. Eichhoff's another guy, did very well for us at the end of the year. He's a little bit behind because of the injury that he sustained while bunting early in camp, but he got his first taste at the major league level the other day and threw the ball very well. Gave up a couple of home runs, but I think he struck out 7 in 4 innings. So, there's some things you could do to make it work one way or the other. But bottom line is, no matter what, we've done what we set out to do, which was improve the starting pitching depth. And and as going through the season, invariably you're not just going to need 5 starters. You're going to need 8 to 10 starters. And we feel with the depth that we had and the prospects that we have, Appel and Thompson and Eflin and those guys, we've got a legitimate group of guys that are on the cusp that are going to push these guys. And, I know one thing, I'm going to spend a lot of time in AAA this year watching those guys as well, because it'll be fun to watch them to continue their development too. So
yeah, that'll be a good ticket to see a lot of the guys down there in the minors. Scott Profrock, the Phillies assistant general manager. When you and Matt and the other front office guys are in Clearwater sitting down, at this point right now, what is the top conversation that you guys are discussing as you get ready for the season to start? What is still something that you guys are going around and trying to figure out?
Well, I think we touched on a little bit with the rotation and who's the 5th starter, and also the bullpen. And then we still have a little bit of an issue that we have some options to address internally, but we're also looking externally for because of the injuries to Altier and to and Ashe. To deal with a little bit of the outfield situation. So that's sort of what we're what we're dealing with. Those are on the things at the top of the to-do list.
Well, and obviously you mentioned some of the injuries out there. It looked like Odubel's ready to go. That was a lingering injury for him as well. Another guy who's been injured coming in is Andrew Bailey. Is he, in your mind, in your guys' mind, if you had opening day, someone to close a game, is he the first guy to get called on? Is that the hopes, or is Hernandez going to be that guy ready, or is it going to be flip a coin?
I think that's yet to be determined. I think Andrew's definitely in the mix. We've talked to the guys our scouts that saw him last year, thought his stuff had ticked up at the end of the year, and I know the people with the Yankees that I've spoke to were a little disappointed that they couldn't bring him back. I know he's a local guy, and and has always expressed an interest in coming back and pitching with the Phillies over the years that we've had other opportunities at him. But I think the other thing was that this probably was from after we traded Giles, from the outside looking in, and after Papelbon was gone and the other things we did with our bullpen, it looked like probably not only a chance for him to pitch with his hometown team or whatever, but also the best opportunity, to get in a situation where we have a chance to close games if he continued his progression from his injuries, and I think that's one of the reasons why he decided to come our way. And again, the jury's still out, but he certainly hasn't done anything to tell us that it's not a possibility.
I know that you guys, don't say, well, we want to win 83 or we want to win 67, but I have said, if the ceiling could be 75, that people should be excited and happy at that. Is there somewhere where you guys hope to be this year?
I just think, for me personally, I don't think I think we're setting a goal as far as wins. I think the main thing is, and it's a lot like last year, Mike. We're looking to figure out who of the players that are on the field are pieces for the future. I think that's the most important goal of the season, is to figure out, is Cesar Hernandez the second baseman of the future, or is he a utility player?
Mm-hmm.
Is Darren Ruff, potentially a first baseman of the future? Is Cody Ashe a future left fielder? Is Cameron Rupp a frontline catcher? And some of the starting pitchers, where are they? Are we going to need to go out and get a top of the rotation starting pitcher, or is Aaron Nola, a future number one starter, that kind of thing? So I think those are the questions I think that drive the goals of the season, is to get some of those answered, as opposed to any set number of wins or losses. Obviously, you want to win as many games as you can, and that's part of the development process as well, especially for those starting pitchers. You don't want to have them in a situation where they go out, give you 6 or 7 solid innings, and then not get the win because the bullpen couldn't hold the lead or the defense couldn't catch the ball. So I think those are things that are part of the equation. But I don't think there's a set number of wins and losses that's going to determine success or failure for us.
Well, obviously things on the up down there, and by the way, I hope the weather's better. I got the 4 worst days of weather when I was down there. I heard the weather was great the rest of the time, except for the days I was there. It was a little chilly the couple days I was down there. But
are you sure you're not in Florida today? Because it was pretty nasty here.
Oh, okay. Well, it rained. It rained pretty good here up here in Atlantic City today. But Phillies assistant GM Scott Profrock, as he mentioned, just 6 games in Clearwater before they head north, and the On Deck series coming up, and then opening day April the 4th. Jeremy Hellickson will get that opening day start. Scott, it's always a pleasure, pal. Thanks so much.
All right, Mike. Anytime.